Success is not final. Failure is not final. It is the courage to continue that counts.
Yeah, so this is a really cool project we just announced today with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. The basic premise of it is tokenizing real estate and then enabling that real estate, once tokenized, to be able to take a loan against it. So releasing some capital from your property. We're partnering with Fubon Bank, which is a large bank with a big subsidiary in Hong Kong. And we're working also with Toco and DLA Piper, a legal firm, and then LoanSnap, who provide a sort of DeFi environment. So the idea here is you can put some of your property up for releasing capital. That will again get paid to you in the form of a CBDC, and then that CBDC could be spent in other use cases or could be converted back into fiat if you preferred.
James Wallace mentions LoanSnap. They partnered with LoanSnap for the Hong Kong Monetary Authority real estate program. So they're trying to tokenize real estate. So I love to invest in companies that make people's lives better, and LoanSnap is exactly that. Its technology allows consumers to take control of their financial lives and will shake up the mortgage market. And there's Richard Branson. Virgin invested in this company, as well as some other pretty big heavy hitters, right? So LoanSnap is trying to bring the DeFi model to tokenized real estate. And Richard Branson is, an Elon Musk type of character. He's founder of Virgin Group and has 400 different companies. ELD Trades mentions that new home buying policy in Australia. The government offers to buy a house with you and share its return. There's something called shared equity that's being tested all over the world. Even in the U.S., California posted a $300 million fund of a shared equity scheme, and it immediately vanished. The entire fund was used in 2 weeks' time. New Zealand and Australia are also offering shared equity. The government owns a piece of your property. Think about this in the DeFi model that James was describing with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. By the way, that's one of the largest financial hubs in the world. They're tokenizing homes in conjunction with CBDCs. The central banks, the Fed, could be the liquidity pool providers. They're on the other side of the liquidity. So you got 100 tokens for your house, and anytime you need to borrow against it, you sell one of the tokens into the DeFi model. They share a part of your home. This means that they can inflate, drive prices higher, and then partner with you. You'll own nothing and like it. The whole banking system, the Fed, the central banks, QE, all of it works on mortgage-backed securities. They purchase mortgage-backed securities. So instead they're buying tokens, and then they get LP tokens on their balance sheet, earning a yield. Now, they're devaluing the currency, making your life more difficult when times are tough. They're on the other side waiting for you to sell a piece of what's yours. CBDCs enable more easy money to come. It's essential to protect your online privacy, and one of the most important ways to do that is by hiding your IP address. Your IP can reveal both who you are and where you're located, potentially making you susceptible to phishing attempts. I recently tested nordVPN after they agreed to sponsor my show. When I inadvertently typed an incorrect URL to a website I often use, transferwise.com, which was similar to the legitimate site wise.com but a fake version created by scammers, NordVPN quickly blocked it for me while running smoothly in the background without overloading my computer or interrupting other tasks. Another feature I really liked was a dedicated VPN. And what that means is it stays the same. It's the same IP address. So when I log into Twitter, I'm still protected, but it's the same exact IP address, so it doesn't trigger the alarms. I don't have to put in CAPTCHA. I don't have to re-enter my password. If you use my link, nordvpn.com/Darren, you'll get 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. So be sure to check it out. This is money back guaranteed. Phishing attempts are common in the crypto world. NordVPN helps users identify what's real and what's fake without you noticing. So be sure to check them out at nordvpn.com/Darren. If you ever plan on traveling, man-in-the-middle attacks are very common.
A default would crack open the foundations upon which our financial system is built. And it's very conceivable that we'd see a number of financial markets break, with worldwide panic triggering margin calls, runs, and fire sales.
During C-19, it was unprecedented times. They were printing 60% of the money supply. When jobs spiked and everyone got laid off, they opened the fire hydrant of money. The world was flooded with money, and now a year or two later, we're contracting the money supply. We're burning money that was put into circulation. All economic tools have a lag. When the Fed is raising interest rates, it has the potential to break everything. And mark my words, everything's breaking.
Accelerate progress on debt restructuring. We are in a situation that needs it. 60% of low-income countries are either at that distress or near that distress. And we have a group of middle-income countries that are so overburdened that they are at the edge of being able to handle their economies. So progress is paramount.
The IMF is designed for low-income countries. The world is in pain. High inflation, high interest rates, the dollar is causing havoc in the global markets, and it's pushing countries like Zimbabwe to redefine their currency, to create a gold-backed central bank digital currency, to reinstore confidence.
Please negotiate a deal.
Do you think that it'll be, at the end of the day, the markets that will spur a deal? That we have to get to the point where there's panic?
It's a really bad idea, because panic becomes something that is not good, and it could affect other markets around the world. But yes, at the end of the day, if it gets to that panic point, people have to react. And we've seen that before. And the other thing about markets is always remember, panic is the one thing that scares people. Like they take irrational decisions. I remember even in '08, people were selling certain securities at 40% of what they would be worth if we had a Great Depression. But they were like, I want out, I want cash, I'm not betting my family's money on this or my company's money. People will panic, and again, we got to be very careful about getting close to a situation that causes that.
Did you get
The U.S. is broke. Investors are buying insurance against the U.S. defaulting on their debt. Again, this is unprecedented times, and in history, when we've seen similar situations, the world has changed. A new order came about. Politicians are arguing over the debt ceiling, trying to renegotiate a deal. But the markets can send a message and force them to make a deal. In simple terms, they can crash the market or the dollar, do something drastic to ensure a deal gets ironed out. Even if they do get a deal, it's only temporary. The interest on the debt we currently have is too expensive to pay. We're in a perpetual debt machine that almost is at an end. To make matters worse, our credit can be lowered. Our good credit rating becomes a lower credit rating, and everyone's debt becomes more expensive.
Whatever it is, that's not good either, because what happens is that as your debt is downgraded, you pay higher interest costs. And for those of you who might remember, in 2011, the United States suffered a debt downgrade. From that point, almost to the day, I'm exaggerating only a little bit, almost to the day, the United States started paying 100 to 200 basis points, meaning 1% to 2% of extra interest costs on our debt, not just for the government, but that translates through to mortgages, to corporates, to municipalities. Everybody started paying more. So not only do we have to be concerned about a default, we also have to be concerned about a debt downgrade, which many people aren't talking about.
And the more
Anthony Welfare from Ripple, one of the people that are building the next financial system, says most Western countries have only 30 to 40% trust in government. Maybe crypto and blockchain technology has a very bright future. Trusted transactions is the future.
Yeah. So first of all, inflation, which is a sort of reset in slow motion, is not going to go away. That's going to stay with us for a long time. A reset where we completely replace the currency doesn't seem to be on the cards imminently, but it can come from nowhere without warning. As far as the CBDC is concerned, that will be here in the UK or with us in the UK in perhaps 2025. That's the timescale they've got in their paper. And it will quite probably become into more generalized use in the following year. If the CBDC gets into generalized use, or if they force it to be so by passing some laws saying that everything that you buy has to be in the CBDC, it will make it very, very easy to do a currency reset, because the CBDC is, to all intents and purposes, a different currency from the money in your bank. It's a direct liability of the Bank of England, just like your banknotes are, but it's not the money in your bank, which is effectively a different currency for the. So that what that means is, at any moment in time, they'll be able to bottleneck how much you put into your wallet if they need to.
There are no outs. Eventually this happens, and wealth is never destroyed, it's redistributed. When the markets devalue the dollar for good, the wealth is going to look for other homes. Assets that are not denominated in debt, like crypto, are not IOUs. It's not a debit or a credit. The protocols that serve real utility will benefit the most. Redesigning money involves a lot of moving pieces, from oracles to tokenization to a store of wealth. These assets are an important key in order for a reset to a new financial system. A CBDC doesn't work by itself. It needs to be bridged and utilized with other applications.
That's the big question, right? Everyone's asking the question, how long is it going to take? I think it depends. You could talk to different people and get answers from like 1 to 2 years to like 5 to 10 years. There's different surveys being done. I think the countries that are leaning in more will be up and running with CBDC in the sort of 2 to 3 year time frame. I think when you then the other use cases like the one we're talking about in Hong Kong, that can be facilitated. So I think there's a similar sort of time frame for these other applications to sit on top.
Hong Kong is a financial hub. It's like New York. They're reinventing their financial system, testing applications with instances of the XRP ledger, creating a new model of shared equity, where anything of value can not only be transferred, but borrowed and lent against, and more.
Look, our priority is to make sure that Congress does its job. There is no way to protect our financial system and our economy other than Congress doing its job and raising the debt ceiling and enabling us to pay our bills. And we should not get to the point where we need to consider whether the president can go on issuing debt. This would be a constitutional crisis.
But is it on the table? Is it something that could be considered? Are you saying, you just said there's no way this can be done without Congress? Is that a hard and fast position that the president will under no circumstances invoke the 14th Amendment?
Look, all I want to say is that it's Congress's job to do this. If they fail to do it, we will have an economic and financial catastrophe that will be of our own making. And there is no action that President Biden and the U.S. Treasury can take to prevent that catastrophe.
It might not be this one, but it could be the next or the one after that. Entitlement spending, the interest on the debt has snowballed. At this point, we're on a self-destruct mission. A new financial system, one that doesn't rely on trust, is being built. We don't know when it will debut, but it's happening. BRICS nations are settling trade using digital yuan. 90% of nations are moving towards CBDC. And Ripple is building the infrastructure using Ripple technology and instances of the XRP ledger, positioning XRP to be the center of the debut. If you have enemies, it means you've stood up for something sometime in your life. Thanks everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. If you enjoy content like this, please consider joining my Patreon.